we are feeling super, aren't we, Nash Talks Texas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got the
Texas
Dutch one.
Longhorns last night secured the win in the Austin Regional, sweeping the competition 3-0. Regional final win over UC Santa Barbara 6-4 as Texas kind of gets there unconventionally in a very nerve-wracking game, kind of some sloppy play from top to bottom going on, but overall 41-7 in their own regional when it comes to scoring versus allowed. And Texas is on to the super regional round where they will face Oregon. Have already messed up already with saying what time they'll be playing. We don't know if it's Friday or Saturday for the first game yet, still to be determined. Before we get deeper into kind of analysis on the game and what to look forward to, make sure you're heading over to InsideTexas.com and checking out this awesome sale we've got right now for new members. You can now join for $1 and get 50% off your first full year of a subscription. That includes all the content that Nash and I do for Texas baseball and, of course, football, as that's starting to come around, as well as the basketball season and it's even maybe some more portal work there. But we're here to talk about baseball, Nash, and of course, when people see us too, they know we're going to be talking a little bit about the Horns and what went right, what went wrong, but just that 1,000-foot view of this game and what happened last night. What stood out to you most about how Texas got there and how Texas secured the win over, not the best number 2 seed, but a very formidable number 2 UC Santa Barbara?
It's kind of cliche to say this, but just the fight in the team, the whole Texas fight deal. I thought the dish really did their job. They started to stand up in moments where they recognized, hey, we need this, and the Horns responded. You saw Ethan Mendoza. He hits a double to score to put Texas on top at the time, 2-1. UC Santa Barbara, they answered back. Texas answers back with 2 more runs of their own. Aiden Robbins, when we have a run taken off the board and Darian Pendergrass is called out for runners interference, Aiden Robbins says, "Okay, I'll go ahead and fix that one myself," and then we held on from there.
Yeah, that Robbins homer was one of those unforgettable moments at the dish, and a lot of our fans in the game thread didn't like it when I made this comparison because it brought up some unhappy memories. But as a Washington Nationals fan myself, I immediately went back to Game 6 of the 2019 World Series where Trey Turner gets called out for runners interference going down the line on a little dribbler, and then you have Anthony Rendon, one batter later, just come up, 2-run slam, and that eventually is the difference to win the game for the Nats. And that's what happens with Aiden Robbins. And the broadcasters kind of pointed it out that you could kind of just feel it when he stepped up to the plate, right? Like once everyone kind of settled down, people were still booing the umpires as he came in.
It was like 5 pitches. They were not giving up. They were not happy.
And it was, I think a 3-1 count was where he worked to, and you could just tell with the pitcher and like, oh boy, do not give him anything to hit because that ball's getting sent out, and he destroyed it. And that celebration, he was rounding the bases. I mean, the crowd, multiple crowd pops between when that ball landed and also when he was kind of jumping up and down, hyping them up. That was quite the moment in Austin.
Yeah, I was there taking photos, and like there was like a 30-second gap where I wasn't taking photos, and that was the Aiden Robbins home run. So I kind of was killing myself with that one. But I will say this: like Jeff Head's not really a liked umpire by any team that gets him, and I can say that about UC Santa Barbara because when I'm sitting in my seat, he issued them a warning in the 3rd inning. Like it's a deal where I think both teams are very, obviously UC Santa Barbara not playing anymore and they're upset about that, but they'll be happy to not see Jeff Head for quite a while.
Well, let's there were some intriguing calls and just kind of overall management of the game, but let's talk about those last 3 innings because that's where just the craziness and the pandemonium. It was a real pitcher's duel. Real credit to Ruger Riojas, right? 3 weeks where he really didn't pitch at all. I mean, he threw to 1 batter against Missouri, comes in, has 1 bad pitch, and outside of that, 5 innings of 1-run baseball. And I talked to some of our fans about this coming in this. Like, if you're getting 7 from Volantis, 6 from Harrison, 5 from Riojas, you're going to win a regional. And that's almost exactly what happened for Texas. Maybe, down 0.2 innings pitched between them. So Ruger gives you 5 and then 1 run, but then Hayden LeFew comes in, cannot throw a strike, walks 2, and then Schlossnagle notes how he shouldn't have made the decision to bring in Brett Crossland for that bunt situation. just not the spot to put in a freshman who's had some trouble inheriting runners. How you doing, Chris Bennett? Yeah, not the spot for Brett Crosland there, and I think he knows that, and he's not going to make that mistake again. But then Texas trades some runs, and then Sam Kozart comes in, Nash, and you think this game is over when he's got 6 outs and a 2-run cushion. What happened there? Was Kozart just maybe getting some of those freshman nerves out, or from my eyes, it almost just felt like UCSB was just putting some really good bats on the ball.
That's what it really comes down to. I mean, UCSB, they're fighting for their lives, right? Like it's now or never. And I mean, it also did feel like there was this nice little mix of things going just right for them, and balls just finding the right spots. But at the same time, they also made plenty of mistakes at the end. And I was talking with somebody about this. Both teams made mistakes. So it really at the end there, it kind of evens itself out because Texas had made some pretty big, pretty crucial mistakes earlier on in the game that allowed some runs to cross. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? But overall, it kind of evened out at the end where, I mean, UCSB, like you tweeted out, they gifted us 2 outs just on a golden platter.
Almost. So that 8th inning, right, they get to 1st and 3rd, and I believe there's 1 out up into this point. And so we heard from their coach after the game that he really felt like he wanted to make a play, and that coaching right there might have cost them a little bit. But yeah, you're down to 1st and 3rd, and he's supposed to, in this play that they have drawn up, which has had a lot of success this year, he's supposed to have the runner go on the first pitch and just kind of run. And the thing that we kind of talked about with Coach Slausingle off the mic after he was explaining what that play looks like, because Texas has run this a lot, is the pitcher has protocols with 1st and 3rd, where if players are running or he feels like he needs to take a step off, he first has to step off, then he has to check the third base guy, and then whip around and turn to see where the guy at first is. A lot of times with a speedy player, the throw just can't come in by the time. If he's already taken a good lead and just started running before the pitcher's ready, he usually just takes that. So that wasn't like a double steal play. It wasn't it was just the runner was supposed to go. He missed the sign on the first pitch, so then he goes pitch 2, and I think more than anything it was luck that Kozart just kind of stepped off and was really aware. He probably should have checked the third base runner a little quicker, but was very, very aware of what was going on. And, throw wasn't perfect. Credit to, I believe it was Becerra who made the pick there, but really game-changing play. And then one batter later pops up a pitch that was pretty hittable, and Texas is out of it. And then another one, 3-2 in the 9th inning, ball's way above his head, swings and misses, gives Kozart that out. And then I think they had another play that they really could have capitalized on there. Definitely felt like UC Santa Barbara wished they could have had those last 2 innings back. Wouldn't you agree, Nash?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like they start off single left field, double left field, right? That's one where the coach, he probably goes, maybe I just let the bats go and let's see what happens. And they did. No, that was later on in the game, or later in the 9th inning. But they had some guys come up to bat that were having a good. They were hitting pretty well.
Yeah. They for me, the way it looked at the end of the game with UC Santa Barbara is that they were kind of feeling out this Texas staff for a while, and it took them a while to really get bat to ball. But I believe it was the 4th time around the order, especially Kelly. Man, I mean, props to him, and Coach Schloss pointed out Rowan Kelly, who probably, if they had ended up winning this regional, he would have been an all-regional MVP. But that guy was just impossible to get out, and that was part of why LeFew came in, and then that was why exactly Luke Harrison came in. Because have you seen, and I think the answer is clearly no one has hit a ball like that off Sam Kozart this year. Lefty, opposite field, and we thought it had hit the top of the wall and gone out, just barely escaped a home run. And obviously they limit the damage there because the team kind of runs themselves into outs. They only score one run when down 3. So that's something to note right there. Like, Kelly was red hot. He almost had a home run that tied the game. And so Luke Harrison comes in for that big moment, Nash. And that was just an unreal moment for Harrison and this ball club. Goes and attacks Kelly with 2 pitches, bringing out, your best closer, your 1.5 ERA closer, and bringing a starter from Friday to come in and end the game. What was that moment like from your point of view in the stadium?
I mean, so I'm on the first base dugout, and obviously, as soon as that pop up's caught, it's pandemonium, right? Everybody's like, everybody's trying to get on the field, rush to go get the good camera shots. But I mean, just I think that really, when you look at it, Harrison's probably the best person to go out there for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easy to say this, in retrospect, right? But he's a guy that he never really seems to let the moment get too big. He's just always going to be even keeled. We've seen in the press conference in the media availabilities, and sometimes it's the annoying part, right? Because you're just getting this robot of an answer every single time, right?
Yeah.
But he almost like he is basically kind of a robot, really, when you're looking at like him as a baseball player. But as much as I say all that robot stuff, if there's a guy that you want to, leave the game in his hands, it's the guy that he wants another shot at pitching on Disch-Falk Field. He's a 5th-year senior, right? Like if they don't win this game, we have to play today for an elimination game, and there's a chance that he never gets to pitch ever again. So, leaving it in his hands kind of it did feel like the best possible move.
Yeah. No, I think that Cozart, especially after hitting the batter, one batter,
that kind of like sealed the deal.
Yeah, and I thought Cozart was actually going to end up getting out of it when that one hitter came up. I was like, he's got him here. This is going to be the one. And then, that's how the cookie crumbles. We'll look to the chat for a second here. Chris, I believe the way they do it is if they want teams to always have at least one chance of being the home team. And the 3 seed, if they win, will always be the home team when they go into the regional final. That's why Tarleton was the home team. And then UCSB, if they had won this last game, then Texas flips over to be the home team on Monday. So it is weird that you sweep a regional in 2 of the 3 games. You weren't the home. You were technically the away. But I think that's one of the oddest parts of the regional schedule, more so than anything Jim Schlossing was really complaining about. That's the part I didn't realize. And then, for those who didn't see, I'm not sure if I've even got a chance to retweet it yet, but Will Hill entered the transfer portal. The portal is open as of right now, midnight today, which goes to show you talk about how messed up the portal is in college sports. The fact that, regional play isn't even over. Teams are just getting started in some of their games today. And you got players entering the portal top to bottom. Will Hill was a redshirt freshman who ended up redshirting this year, outfielder. Hadn't got a chance to play this season, was someone that came into the 2025 class, but he's moving on. Didn't get a lot of chances to really note about him this season, but with Jonah Williams potentially coming back, Mannix Mansour, Larson still got eligibility. Of course, Anthony Pack. Just hard to break through a team like Texas. So, thanks for pointing that out, Chris. But we'll be all over the transfer portal over on Inside Texas. That's going to be a big thing we'll be covering. And of course, as we get towards regional play, it's going to get even more crazy as super regional play as teams start to get eliminated. Really, I bet there's a few players who are an elimination game away today from entering their name, and we've already heard a few pretty important ones coming in. A lot of power bats actually really early on from these kind of mid-major schools. But Nationals, to go back to the Austin Regional, maybe look past last night's game. I think we've done most of the analysis of what we needed to say for what happened. Apart from I wanted to shout out Ethan Mendoza and Adrian Rodriguez because I thought they played great regionals, but just really, really clutch hitting in these last 2 games. And Mendoza, that oppo power he's got coming in, that he's really kind of
just missed a home run.
Just missed. I'm right.
Well, honestly, almost 2.
Yeah, really? he hit 2 deep to right field this game, and even Casey Borba had a pretty bad regional, but it's good that his last 2 at bats were really productive, right? Like a single up the middle and then a really, really tough walk that he drew. Like shout out to Borba for doing that. But as we're looking at this regional overall, was there any? I mean, it literally went about as perfect as you could ask. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, yeah. I don't like. I understand. Like, there's certain things that could happen, like at the end of the game. But really, at the end of the day, anytime you go 3-0, that's about as you can't really ask for much more. Considering there's only there's just over half the field is already in the super regionals. So there's, 6 teams that are still left to decide?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, because you got basically Georgia, Mississippi State, and Oregon and Texas. Those are the only set super regionals. Yeah, it's absolutely wild, and you see what's happening to all these, you know, high seeded teams like UCLA getting defeated by St. Mary's, the Gales of St. Mary, right?
Gales.
Uh, it's just it's a wild, you learn to appreciate. You know what? I'll take whatever ones we can get, and then the fact that Texas went out there and I mean, BTA first two games. Yeah, this was about as stress free regional you can get.
Yeah, I mean those first two were just dominant the way they went about it, and you had a feeling that it just wasn't going to be quite that good for Texas when you get a better staff in UCSB. And give it to Kellen Montgomery. He was their 3-star. I know he came in the fourth game. He was their 3-starter pretty much this full year and had really good numbers. 4 ERA, pitched really well for them, and they got to their bullpen. And yes, it was depleted, and that's where Texas took advantage of it, but. The Longhorns still scored 6 runs, and that came on not a lot of power, which we had seen in the last 2 games, but it's there, which is why you're still feeling good about what Texas can do after showing that off the first 2 games against Holy Cross and Tarleton State. So you just can't take these for granted, and that's something I've been trying to push to fans a lot recently. Is you cannot take these wins for granted, whether it's Holy Cross, whether it's Tarleton, especially if it wins you your regional, because looking at a team like A&M, and not to single them out in like a rivalry sense, this is just a good example of that's a team who did really well in their first 2 games and looked really good offensively. But when your staff is thin and you lose the Sunday night game, I don't think they're favored, even though they're at home against USC, and they might go out and crush them and advance. But USC's pitching depth is just so much better than A&M's. I don't know how they're going to get through 9 innings against a good USC team. So winning on Sunday just eliminates so many variables for a team, and it makes it so much easier for you to just have a regular week more than anything. They can go and have a good rest today, be at the field, but mostly be resting. Play Tuesday as if you're playing a Tuesday midweek game, and then get yourself ready for either Friday or Saturday when they play Oregon. Let's talk about the Ducks, Nash, because they also had a very similar path. They destroyed Yale, and then they had 2 kind of – the second game wasn't quite as much of a blowout as Texas's was, but two wins in a row, and they go out of it. Their pitching is really good. Have you gotten a chance to watch them at all this year or any of their games? What do you know about them?
Just a little bit. I know that they got a really good offense. That they got a really good pitching staff. I was actually really surprised to see like their baseball. There's not going to be too much of a drop off when they come to the Dish, because their baseball field is really, really similar to how the Dish is, like as far as like wall distance and all that stuff. But I mean, they struggle on their on base percentage. Their batting average kind of a little bit lower, runs per game, but they can slug. They can hit the ball out. Like I said, they're a really good pitching staff. So they have the numbers to be a super regional team. Obviously, you get to the supers, you're going to be a good team. But it's going to be a really interesting battle between Oregon and Texas.
Yeah. What's fun about this, Nash, as I'm going to pull up their team profile and pair ratings, is it's like the football matchup we're hoping for, right? Like if you told me that I could pick any team for Texas to play in the playoff for football, I think I would pick Oregon when it comes to just what would be a fun game. And you're getting that in baseball. This is by pretty much every metric you look at a top 13 to 18 team. Probably doesn't get into the top 12 rankings anywhere, but definitely not outside of the top 20. You see here, none of these super flashy offensive stats, apart from slugging, which they do well, isolated powers in top 25. But look at these pitching numbers, Nash. Under 4 ERA, top 10 in K per 9, top 11 in whip, left on base is good. And then you go to their win quality, and they have a win over UCLA this year. And then, of course, Oregon State they've really handled. So this is a very, very formidable pitching staff, in my opinion. That's the scout there for me. They have at least 3 starters that they really do trust to come in and win these games. You saw it in their regional. And at this point in time, you don't have to worry about a 4th starter until deep into Omaha, which is way, way out of your brainwaves right now. You're not thinking about what you'd be doing in game 4 of Omaha.
just win the super.
Just win your super. So this will be a 3-game series where both teams feel really good about all 3 of their pitchers, and that's just a lot of fun. Like you're getting a true 3-game series out of this, and this offense, their individual players, they did not score a lot these last 2 games, but when they did, these freshmen that they have on their team were just sensational. I believe in the 9th inning of the Washington State game, up 1-0, really need insurance. just a 3-run tank from a player whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce, but I believe he's Polynesian. Just tremendous level of power, and I believe they have 3 of them who are really good. That's the offense isn't the scout on them, but they are going to be testing this Texas pitching staff, and if their freshmen are going to play up, like this is definitely the best team Texas could have faced out of that or Eugene Regional, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, if you when you're comparing the two teams profiles side by side, they're probably the most similar, right?
Yeah.
When you look at it, the their home records really similar, their away records really similar, neutral record is really similar, quad 1, quad 2, like everything's very just not too far off from each other. The only thing I would say is that I think this is where it benefits Texas a little bit more is Texas has played a stronger schedule in conference.
For sure.
And there is always that question of, well, are their stats inflated from the Big 12, from the Big 10? And I think that's a fair question to ask because you sit there and you watch UCLA go through and dominate the Big 10, and then you're seeing quite a few of these Big 10 teams actually kind of fall in the regional rounds. In Nebraska, they fell. It's going to be really interesting to see, and it's certainly a fair question. But I mean, they're definitely a good team, and they've earned it.
I will say, just you look at strength of schedule numbers. That's what I was doing while you were talking. UCLA and Nebraska in particular were definitely playing tougher out of conference and in conference games than Oregon was. Oregon got a pretty favorable draw. Even USC is probably on there, but especially UCLA played some really good SEC teams in the non-conference. So that's something to note here. I have brought up the stats of this Oregon pitching staff because you're seeing it right here. I mean, 4 guys with an ERA 4.6 or better, and Clark has been an inning eater for them. If that's your worst, then that's all right. Who all have started 10 or more games here, and there's another 3 relievers with Tanner Bradley, who came in, shut the door on their game last night, was nasty, crazy. I believe it was his changeup, or maybe it's more of a splitter that came to play for them, was awesome. And then Toby Twist, Devin Bell. I mean, that is 7 pitchers right away that you're talking about. Really being tough guys to get hits on and tough guys to really generate some offense on. So Oregon's going to be a team that's going to make these games close and go late. You're going to have to claw. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to win these games, 5-2. When we're looking at what that scout means for Texas, Nash, it clearly puts a lot of emphasis on the starters, but the relief pitchers, how are you feeling about this group? Because it was not the best look from Littlefew and Crossland, and this was probably the worst we've seen from Cozart all year. At least that's maybe a positive to say they won with Cozart looking that bad, but I don't know if you can win a regional if it's that kind of bullpen play for 3 straight games.
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me when you're looking at Oregon is they have I think it's 7 guys over 900 OPS. Like they're a team that they're just I think that you have to limit walks against this team, right? If you just let them get on base, this is a team that they can hit a double, they can hit a home run, they can hit triples are kind of rare, but they got guys that can leg out triples, and it's one of these deals where you can have a 3-run lead. They're one swing away, from getting back into the game. They may not have I think the best example here is you got a guy, Maddox Maloney, who's batting .233, right? But he's got 12 tanks on the year, right? So it's a deal where, yeah, he made and he's got 212 at bats, right? So it's not like he's, has a low batting average and because he's hasn't had that many at bats, right? It's just that they got plenty of guys that they're not going to hit for average, but they're going to hit for power. And
yep. I
mean these are the dangerous teams because baseball is that sport where you can score 4 runs. It's the great equalizer in baseball because in basketball you can't score 12 points. You can't score 12 points at once. In football, you can't score 3 touchdowns at once, right? But in baseball, you can cross 4 guys at the plate. in one single swing. So
Just like that.
it's just like that. That's one of the things that makes baseball so tough, because I mean you have to play 9 innings of solid, but they don't care how you could go 8 2/3 of just great ridiculous baseball, but if you give up that one and that last out, I mean, and we've seen this last year. I think it was USC had a crazy comeback, like 6. They were down like 6 runs or something like that. I forget exactly the name, but this is definitely the team that can actually go out there and do this.
Yep.
So you got to limit the walks.
I completely agree. And if you're seeing this right now, I'll try to zoom in even a little more here. But 5 players with double digits home runs on the year, which is a nice number to have. The big thing, though, Angel Laya, true freshman. Anilivo Lawicki Jr., redshirt freshman who hit the 3-run homer to win them, or insurance, but win them that Washington State game. And then Braden Joxa is also a true freshman. So that's 3 of your top 5 power hitters are freshmen or redshirt freshmen or true freshmen like that. That's the kind of spark that teams just randomly find and make runs off of. Now, the inverse is, there might be some freshman walls that get hit when they have to face a Dylan Volantis, or if they have to face Sam Cozart at his best and Ruger Riojas and Luke Harrison. But they have a lineup that 1 through 9 is gonna do some damage. There's not an easy out in there, and that's where you can knock Texas, given that the bottom 3 in the order. Ashton Larson was really good this regional, but it's always singles and walks. There's not a lot of power threat. Casey Borber really struggled. Darian Pendergrass just not a real threat with the bat. It's a lot of bunting. It's a lot of base running, hope for singles and things like that. But just more than anything, he gets productive outs, which is super important for the Longhorns. So the pitching staff for Oregon is what concerns me most for Texas. But given that they do, like you were just explaining with, how a 4 runs can just come out of nowhere, they have the guys who will punish you if you give them an inch late in the game. So I think we're going to see this one. I would expect this to be a best of 3 that goes to the 3rd game. And I would think that this ends up being whose bullpen performs better down the stretch. Do you have any, I guess, hot takes or things you want to throw out there about this regional that you're going to stand behind right now with the early scout? Super regional, excuse me.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm trying to think, because I mean, I do think that this is a game that Texas can. I think this is a regional that Texas can take in, 2 games. But I mean, really, I think that if you're a Texas fan, you have to it hasn't happened yet. Knock on wood, right? But Texas hasn't lost 2 games at home in a single series this year. The only time we've lost 2 games is at Tennessee and at Texas A&M. If you're a Texas fan, you have to like that, right? You have to have confidence in that. So we'll see. But I obviously, coming off a regional win, you're gonna feel confident about your super regional no matter what. But it being at home, the Texas crowd being there, getting into it, we have a really good pitching staff ourselves. It's hard to see Sam Cozart having a bad game. I mean, you really got to like your chances of Dylan Volantis going out there game 1, getting off to a great start, grabbing a win, and then after that, it's just like I was telling one of somebody last night. I'm like, as bad as it is to say, I hope we saw Ruger Riojas' last start in this Falk Field, because I mean, if I think you'd have to assume that Luke Harrison is going to get game 2. If we go 2-0, I mean, Ruger, save that arm for Omaha, buddy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think he would go on Sunday. Let's start to Luxe Kitchen and Bath for a little late ad read. And before we kind of get any last thoughts on the regional and just general college baseball before we head out.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
Odell Beckham Jr. has re-signed with the Giants. Thought that was pretty funny to see. Would not expect to be saying that in 2026.
Grandpa's
2016
back.
was a long time ago. Yeah. Forecast, Chris. Some rain may be coming this weekend, which, definitely would be up there for the people from Eugene. They would have no problem playing in that. But, not supposed to be a heater in Austin, which, I think Texas players will love to be able to just play in a 95-degree weather and just outlast a team like Oregon, who hasn't really had to play like that all year. But let's talk about the rest of the college baseball bracket for a few minutes before we head out. I've got it coming up here. Cal Poly, right, advances through this bracket. It's not even St. Mary's, Nash.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a guy last night, and man, he's like, it sucks because they put all those 3 California schools together, and they're probably all good enough to advance on their own merits in different regionals if you were to split them up. Mm-hmm. St. Mary's, they were obviously, in hindsight, pretty good 4 seed looking at that. But Cal Poly, they're the one that gets out. The thing that stands out to me, and if you scroll down as I talk about this, on the left side of the bracket, Kentucky could win today. That's a 3 seed in that bracket. Troy could win over Florida. That's a 3 seed in that bracket. USC, they could beat Texas A&M. That's a 2 seed in that bracket. Milwaukee, if they somehow manage to pull out an upset, that's a 4 seed in that bracket. That's one number 1 seed on the left side of the bracket in UNC. Yeah. And then you go to the right side of the bracket, you could have Florida State beat St. John. That'd be another 1 seed. You could have Georgia Tech beat Oklahoma. That'd be another 1 seed. Every single 1 seed on the right side of the bracket would have advanced to the super regional round. And then on the left side, it's one only. So when you're looking at Omaha, I mean, the right side of the bracket is just
slaughterhouse.
I mean, I don't know if y'all seen that 3-headed dragon meme, right? But it's like there's a 2-headed dragon, and one of them's got the tongue sticking out with the googly eyes. I mean, it's just it's an absolutely loaded deal. And then apologies to Texas fans but if we manage to make it and beat Oregon, hey, congratulations, you get Georgia or Mississippi State, right? Like, welcome to Omaha, buddy, right? And I mean, you can honestly say the same thing, right? If winner of Georgia or Mississippi State, if Texas manages to win this, it's like, hey, congratulations, you get Dylan Volantis, game 1, right? It's just the right side of the bracket is so loaded. It's beyond wild to see like the discrepancy on the 2 sides.
Yeah.
And that I think like this is a year that could really, if the right wins happen today, in 2 weeks we could be hearing talks about do they need to reshuffle around the bracket when they get to Omaha, because this is it's a lot of strength on the right side and not a lot on the left.
Yeah, we alluded to it earlier in the show, but Jim Schlossnagle kind of took to the very end of his press conference to speak on some of the things he feels like need to change with college baseball, and he's been someone who's been very pro the idea of, hey, let's have regional play more mirror what it actually is in the regular season, 3-game series, and you play 1 versus 4s in the first round, and then the winners of that play the 2 versus 3s in the second round, and so on, which that comes from a person who's probably going to be the 1 seed more often than not at the University of Texas, given the level of talent he can bring in. So, that would benefit him. But it is fair to say, of course, teams like Georgia and Mississippi State are going to advance if they're good enough. But, Milwaukee, we're talking about a team like that. Troy, Little Rock, and Cal Poly have already advanced out of 1.
Little Rock's a 4 seed, by the way. Yeah,
exactly. And Southern Miss was, the best mid-major this year. UCLA was the best team this year. Kentucky probably shouldn't have even gotten in, realistically. They weren't very good in SEC play. But, they go and beat West Virginia, and they played an unreal game last night. Such a fun environment there at West Virginia and Morgantown. But, if they go out and win, and then that's a low-tier 3-seeded SEC team playing Cal Poly for a chance at the College World Series. Yeah, like you said, it could be Troy versus Little Rock. And this A&M one's going to be a lot of fun as well. And Ole Miss got a favorable draw. They had to play Nebraska, who's a pretty easy 1 seed compared to Auburn or A&M, and they might be playing Milwaukee when it gets to the next round.
I will say, go ahead and click on Troy for a second, because if Troy makes it, they've earned it.
Yeah, look at these games.
Get pushed to the elimination bracket, and okay, hey, welcome. You got to play Ryder, who almost upset Florida. Florida barely escaped that game. And then, okay, hey, now you got to go play Miami, who was thought to be a pretty good team, pretty good 2 seed. Then now you get Florida, right? Oh, you beat Florida. Okay, now they have to do it again. But I mean, if they make it today, they've absolutely earned it out of that regional.
Yeah, those pitchers are going to have to hold up.
Wild.
Those pitchers going to have to hold up. Troy can score. Look at some of these.
Oh yeah, no,
they
can hit. That's a given.
And like Little Rocks was dominant. Like they go and beat Southern Miss, who then Virginia takes care of them, but then they just kind of go through this regional, beat Jacksonville State twice, and here you are. It is just fun.
It's hilarious at Jacksonville State, and like I think it's like their first or second year in Division I play or something like that, and it's like you got Jacksonville State. Like if you had polled 100 people that actually know something about college baseball and have been following all year long, and you say, hey, give me your winner out of the regional out of Hattiesburg, you maybe get like at most 5 people that would combine say Jacksonville State or Little Rock, because most people be like, okay, Virginia, they lost. I'm blanking on the name, but the Mississippi
O'Connor.
Coach. Yeah, they lose O'Connor, right, and they lose a couple of their guys. Well, they actually turned out to they got a good coach themselves, retained some guys, and man, they've been a really good team this year. Then you got Southern Miss, like you said. People thought, okay, hey, best mid-major all year long, right? It's absolutely wild to see that those two teams, took such an early exit out of their regional, because I mean, it's just really Southern Miss and Virginia. They were playing an elimination bracket. You'd think that's like the winner's bracket game, and then Virginia, they just go play one more game and they lose to Jacksonville State again. It's just crazy stuff to see.
Yeah, that was the Hattiesburg one we were talking about there. I know I had the Tallahassee regional up here because I wanted to talk about it.
Oh, it's live.
They just started. Their Saturday gets rained out, so Florida State and Coastal Carolina lost, and then they have to go and wait until Sunday where they play each other. Florida State ekes it out. NIU and Florida State then have to play a doubleheader that day after St. John's thrashes NIU. So St. John's is sitting here all rested and happy, and Florida State's been through the ringer already, and they have to win another 2 games in a doubleheader to go and do this. So I think St. John's is actually the favorite.
They're in a good spot.
They're in a really good spot. And, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech's the last one I want to talk about. I unless you have any other ones down here that are really interesting to you. UNC EC was fun, but UNC was the best team there. I thought Georgia Tech was the clear favorite in college baseball. I thought they were the team to beat for the College World Series. The offense is just too good. I didn't think they would lose a game until they got to the College World Series. But you know what? We had pointed it out before all this came in that I know they're the 2 seed and they're really good, but this is not the easiest draw. Getting Oklahoma, a good, not great, but good SEC team that can pitch was the big thing. They have a lot of arms, and Oklahoma does well in games that aren't against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech does win the first game, but Oklahoma's bats scored 15 runs last night, and suddenly you're looking at Georgia Tech saying, wait, our pitchers are worse than theirs for this game. I don't know who we're going to throw, and I don't know who they're going to throw, but they have more arms than we've got. They might be in serious danger right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kitchen sink day, right? Because if you're a coach and you got another arm in the battery and you don't use it, right? Like, you're just going to sit there and question yourself for another 8 months, 9 months, or whatever it is until February. I mean, it's just The one thing that, like, I mean, we talked about this before. I mean, you've heard me. I'm a broken record when I say I think that good pitching is, going to be good hitting 9 times out of 10, right? Like, that's just it's hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in any sport. I mean, it's just especially when you start like seeing these, because I know people like they scoff at that. Okay, well, go stand in the box next to a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. All right,
Go see Thomas Burns.
Most people are jumping out of the box as soon as that happens, but these guys, it's not just a fastball, right? Now add in, okay, some of these dudes are throwing 89, 90-mile-an-hour sliders, right? that are literally moving the entire width of the strike zone. So it takes a great, amount of concentration and great skill to be able to, hand-eye coordination to be able to bat. And it's really hard. Another thing that, I mean, you heard me say this, UCLA, Georgia, and Georgia Tech, they were all on my watch of teams that could go down and, get upset, because it's one of these deals where you go through a season that I think that winning too much can be a detriment to your team, because you don't go through as much adversity as some of these other teams. Like Oklahoma's gone through plenty of adversity. And I think that really that benefits them in this situation where they're in an elimination game. They've had their backs against the walls multiple times. Georgia Tech, they've been a favorite for most of the year. They've cruised through. Same thing with UCLA. I mean, anytime I see a team and where I really started to, get this, thought process was when Texas was on that really, really hot start where it's like, okay, we're 14-0, 15-0. And I'm researching, I'm doing all the, looking at all the teams that, Texas, the best starts in Texas history. Once you get past 16-0, it starts your chances of actually not even going far in the tournament, but, making the tournament. I think our 34-0 team or 35-0 team, whichever one, I think 34, they didn't even make the regionals that year. And it's a different, format and bracket. They would obviously make a regionals in the current situation. But I think when they get there, they still lose the games that they had, lost to get into regional play. I mean, it's just winning does not benefit you. There is something to be learned from losses.
Very well said. I think that's going to do it for us over the Inside Texas YouTube channel. Thank you all these eyeballs who come in here and we're just listening to us kind of yap about college baseball for 45 minutes almost. This is a long one for our quick hitter show. Different format this week, but we'll be back next week to do the same thing after, whether it be a triumphant win in the Austin Super Regional, talking about the College World Series, or kind of what went wrong and what's to go going forward. And the college baseball cycle is very quick. It's just boom, boom, boom. We're into the College World Series. So make sure you're checking us out on Inside Texas and checking out this awesome sale. You can join now for just $1 and then get 50% off your first year. Just a sick, really good deal for you if you aren't yet subscribed and want to learn more about this baseball team. And, of course, Texas football and basketball going forward. Nash, thanks as always. Longhorns win their regional, on to the Super Regional. We will talk to you guys next week around the same time. Let me get this thing going. Sorry about that, guys.